Hey, what's going on, gentlemen? This is my my recap and legends for where are we at? June 7th, 2020. All right. So I'm actually on the ship on the ellipsis, and let me collect my thoughts real quick. All right, yeah. So basically, we're a day away from reaching the Crystal Dynasty, right? And like everyone is like celebrating like we're there already basically like they're doing like parties, they're like partying in the hallway, like no one's getting like belligerently drunk or nothing like that, but it's like they're not acting as if something could just happen like now, which is crazy because literally the Bracken thing just happened yesterday. So for people to be celebrating that we're 24 hours away as if we're already there, as if nothing can happen, makes no sense to Xavier. Like we have to stay aware, be focused, be ready for anything because anything and everything seems to happen. So so after seeing that, like I'm with Satsu and we're like, we're just walking around the ship and that's when we come in contact with a hallway of people just like celebrating, like drinking. Like this isn't how it is all over the ship, but this just happens to be the worst scenario of what I was just explaining of the celebratory thing. Like this is the seems to be the worst of it, and it's not horribly bad. Nobody's just like running around streaking or doing anything crazy. But there's a guy named Kyle who is basically he's overly celebrating. And the funny thing about Kyle is like he's an irregular that he's one of the people that Johnny Blaze, one of the regular Johnny Blaze just rescued and everything like that. And I mean, he's been doing his thing. Like he just got promoted a couple months ago to like security detail. So he's like, he's making his way through ranks, but he's just really celebrating now and everything like that. So as like me and Satsu were like, talking crap about everybody celebrating, Mark, the Absorber, who's an oddity member, he's walking towards us with like, a plate of food basically. Like he kind of got his guard down, but he's walking towards us, and I yell Bracken. And for those who don't know, excuse me, Sean, George, possibly E, if y'all haven't watched the Glide yet, Bracken is a Super Saiyan 5 level character who popped up on the ship yesterday. That's the reference I was making. Bracken popped up on the ship yesterday, looking to kill Brada, and they subdued him. They subdued him and everything, and like without making a big thing, because him and Brada has history. So like I mean they have history. I don't know if I'm aware of that like in the game. I just know they got history because of what um what Kyrie shared on Glide his stories. So I yell Bracken to kind of like scare people. To like, oh shit, Bracken's here. Like like if you're because they're partying so hard, their guard is so down. So people like so when I yell it, people stop and look and everything like that, and shit gets like crazy and things like that. And like the guy Kyle who was like drinking and acting a fool in the hallway, I started choking on what he was drinking and shit. So so we all start laughing and the absorber walks over to us. And he's like, yo, y'all need to like, like live a little here. Like he offered to some of his food and everything like that that he had on his tray and everything. And we were just having dialogue about basically how like this shouldn't be happening right now. Like we shouldn't not be on guard. Like we should still be acting as if we're not there yet. Like we already like there should be a greater understanding that shit happens here. Things happen. Not only that, we don't really know what we're getting into on the crystal or in the crystal dynasty. Like we have really no idea what's going on when we get there. We think we know, but we don't know. I'm sure like maybe like Sidekid and Melina, Locke, Ali, maybe Rain, maybe all of them are 100% sure they understand what's going on. But people who are under that level, such as myself, who is not in on that intel, we really have no idea. We could be getting to the Crystal Dynasty and all be enslaved. There's not like there's much we could do. Like it's we just might be just getting screwed. We don't know. We shouldn't be celebrating something until we understand what the hell's going on. So let me. So I tell Sasu like, yeah, like this is too much for me. I'm gonna go train. Do what I do. So, um, so after we have our little thing with the absorber, and he's basically trying to tell us like to relax, chill out, like we're almost there. Like relax and enjoy yourself. So I walk like me and Sasu are walking to the real room, and then I look at her and start to tell her like, yo, I'm about to challenge the absorber. Like, and she's like why? She's like, you obviously can beat him. Like, why would you challenge him? Like, kind of teach him a lesson. Then we're I was going back and forth. Like, that's kind of. I was like, I wonder why I'm thinking that way. It's kind of like a bad way of thinking. That's like not who I am. And she was on the thing like, well, I'm trying to get you to, I was like, she was like, that she was like, pulling me over to her side, like of the evil way of thinking. Like, she was joking around. So I called him out and challenged him. He basically didn't want to do it. But he had legitimate reason. It's not like he was scared of me or nothing like that. He didn't want to do it because he was like, I don't want to like train and tire myself out, whatever. And then something actually happens and we're screwed because we just got finished a gruesome training battle. Um, but me and Satsu understood that there's nothing he could really do against me. I'm too versatile. So we just let that go. And then me and Sasu end up, going to the real room. We get to the real room, and JBJ is in there. Of course, he's the man. And what JBJ is doing is he's basically using his technology skills to scrub the room, basically, of any information it might possess about any of us to kind of just kind of protect us. I was gonna say anonymity, but I can't pronounce that word right now. So, but yeah, so basically to protect us. And while he's doing that, me and Sasu decided to get a little training in, but we're not going to be physically like physical training. We're like meditating things of that nature. So I really wasn't sure what Satsu had planned. She's a really like a gifted meditator, if that's a thing. She's that. So I sit down because I wanted to start focus on getting more understanding and control of my force ability because I really use force as like a blunt object. Like I hit people with it basically. I absorb it, like things like that. I wanted to get more like a finesse thing going with my force ability. So what I decided to do was have Sasu like while she's meditating, I was going to use her as a focal point, and I wanted to start to focus on how force and stuff is interacting with her. So, so she's there meditating. I started focusing on her, and I was able, like, when I got into a deep focus, I was able to like feel the way like the oxygen was like interacting with her body, right? And then I went a little deeper, and I got to understand like, I got to see like the pathways that the oxygen was like flowing like in her bloodstream. And then when I went deeper than that, I saw her like a kind of like a X-ray form where I could see the different pathways of the way like the oxygen is flowing through her system and everything. But I was able to see like it was like weird. I was able to see her like completely differently. Like the dean was saying, like I had such a better understanding of her now, like as if like I could sense her now. Like if I was in Philadelphia and she was in New York, I could sense her now. I never had that like an ability to sense people like that before, but because I had this greater understanding of her, I could do that now. Um, but more importantly, when she became the X-ray, I'm sorry. More importantly, when she became the X-ray form, I was able to see like so much deeper into like such an intimate understanding and see her in intimate detail. Like I could see stuff like her blood sugar levels. I could see like the stress on her bones that her body was putting her through. I could see I could feel like what her cells were doing. I could feel like but even before I got here, I could feel like the way her skin was taking in oxygen and like releasing oxygen. And I think one of the greater things I could do was I could see like not only what her cells were doing, but I could see like how healthy her heart was and like organs and things of that nature. So I was thinking like if I could see that stuff, with like I'm sure with much focus and practice, that I could start to control those things, and that's when it becomes deadly. That's when the ability becomes lethal. Because if I can see it, then I can control the force throughout it, basically. Um, let's see. So while I'm looking at her in that X-ray state, she goes to touch me, and it kind of freaks me out because I'm looking at her. I'm so focused, and when she touches me, I look at myself to see what she's touching me on my shoulder, and it's almost to the point like we are kind of like it's kind of like I guess I'm in that form as well, and I start to see like where she touches me is like our bodies become kind of like one where her hand touches my shoulder. It's like I can't see where she ends and I begin. But it kind of startled me and knocked me out of that focus. So once I'm coming back, it's like switching in between of the X-ray form of her and normal form. It like flicks back and forth a couple times, so I'm knocked out. And when I come back, I'm like, breathing really hard, like catching my breath, and I'm trying to after I catch my breath a little bit, I explain to her what I just explained to you guys or you, DM, what I just saw basically, and I was asking like, well, why, like, why did you touch me? Like, did she? Because I was asking her to see like, was I turning into something? Was I doing something that was like alarming or startled you? And she was like, no, Ariel and Shine just walked in. And what I didn't mention before was Shine had told us that he was going to contact us later. He had something to do, and I guess is what it was. So when Shine and Ariel walked over to us, we stood up to see him and everything. And Shine was basically broke the news that Ariel was is like under suspicion on the Darwin's Legacy about being a kind of sleeper agent for us. So he's like Ariel's on a tip like well she's like they don't know nothing yet. So she was gonna go back and Shine is on a tip like we can't risk that. We can't risk you going there and getting captured and getting killed or getting tortured. Like we can't do that. And she kind of wasn't hearing it. So I kind of broke down, gave her three reasons on why she should adhere to what Shine is saying. And it was basically like, I can't think of them really offhand, but one of them was just like, was like, if you go, like, your mission, like, you're, like, right now, your mission you might think it's incomplete, but you're like you've been helping, so your mission isn't incomplete. If you go back there, you get captured, you'll get killed, you'll fail your mission. So that's like one and two. But the third one, the main one, which I actually remember, sorry, damn nose hair. What I actually remember was me telling her that if they find her and they kill her, she's not dying alone because I'm going over there and I'm sacrificing my life for her. And it's like, so if you decide to do that, you're not just risking your life. And Sasha was like, yeah, and I'm going too. Like, if you decide to go there, you know, against all of our wishes, like, you're not only sacrificing yourself if you get caught, you're sacrificing all of us because we know that we're not at the level to go over there and be successful and, and taking them down. So, like, she's sacrificing us basically. Um, so I think after that speech, it brought her around, and she got it, and like she was like, okay, like I won't leave, I'll stay here. So she was like, well, what's the plan? And when she said, what's the plan? Like I looked at Shine, like yeah, like what's the plan? So like Sachi looked at Shine, like yeah, what's the plan? So Shine looked at kind of like nervous, like oh shit, I didn't have a plan. So he came up with the plan though. He's going to talk to his connects here on the ellipsis, and he was asking if I could go reach out to my connects on the white lighter because my idea was if we get her to the white lighter, there will never be suspicion that we had anything to do with her being a double agent. If she's just over there, they're going to assume that the white lighter had her over as a double agent. But like Shine wasn't like so sure about that. Like if they question her or something like that, then it might come back to me or something like that. I was willing to take that. So the whole thing is now. Hold on. Okay. So the whole thing is now that I'm me and Sean left. He gonna go talk to his people. I'm flying to do what I got to do to head to the White Lighter. So I contacted. I'm in the process of contacting Ali where I got on put on shift balls. I'm contacting Ali so I can go to her and explain to her everything that what's going on with Ariel to try to get her safe passage and everything to stay on that ship. Um, and see the rough thing about because it's normally a no-brainer, but Ariel has a past with like being in this cult type of thing, and it's kind of like a scarlet mark on her, even though she's not that person anymore. But it kind of marked her as being kind of untrustworthy. Probably why she's actually on the Darwin's legacy, but she's not that person. So yeah, so basically, I Paul shift on my way to meet up with Ali to try to get Ariel safe passage to the White Lighter, so she could be safe and never have to go back to the Darwin's legacy. Gentlemen, hello.